the Commission. Mr. Brett Ragsdale serves as the Executive Secretary of the Commission. Mr. Ragsdale, may I get a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Cox?
Here.
Here. Ms. Strong?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Chair Tucker?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The Landmarks Commission and the local historic district provisions are established to ensure preservation of structures that are of historic value to Memphis. Our function is to preserve significant resources, enhance community pride, and foster civic beauty and ensure compatibility within designated historic districts. The Commission is authorized to review projects and determine their appropriateness based on the design review guidelines. At this time, I would like to swear in the staff. You may remain seated. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. May I get a motion to approve the minutes from the last month's meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Secretary, please provide us a secretary's report, if there is one, and then explain the procedure for this meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do not have a secretary's report, so I will go into the procedures. The procedure for this meeting will be as follows. I will introduce each case as listed on the agenda. Copies of the agenda are found on the right podium. For each case, staff with the Division of Planning and Development will give a presentation. At the conclusion of staff presentation, the applicant will have 5 minutes to present his or her case. After the applicant's presentation, the Commission will hear first from those speakers in support of the application, then from those speakers in opposition to the application, and the speakers will have 3 minutes each. And then finally, the applicant will have 3 minutes to provide rebuttal. These times do not include time for questions from and answers to members of the Commission. The chairperson may provide additional time, provided both sides are given an equal amount of additional time. All parties who wish to provide testimony to the Commission will be sworn in by the chairperson. If a member of the audience wishes to provide testimony in support of or in opposition to a particular case on today's agenda, he or she will need to fill out a speaker's card for the record. Speaker's cards are available at the front podium. Once filled out, speaker's cards can be submitted to any DPD planner at the left podium. We do not need speaker's cards from those applicants since their names are already part of the record. After all parties have been heard, the Commission will close the public hearing, make a motion, and then deliberate on the case. All motions made by the Commission will be made in the affirmative. The bylaws governing the Commission require the affirmative vote of a majority of the attending members to approve an application. The Commission may also vote to hold an application for a period of 1 month. Madam Chair, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order, all applicants have been notified of this hearing, and all notice requirements have been fulfilled.
Okay, thank you. At this point, the Commission will establish a consent agenda. To establish the consent agenda, the Secretary will call out each eligible case. If any member of the audience or Commission objects to a case being placed on the consent agenda, he or she should do so by a show of hands when the Secretary reads the case. Once the consent agenda is established, the Commission will vote on all cases placed on the consent agenda as a whole and will not hold individual public hearings on each. Mr. Secretary, which items on our agenda are eligible for consent?
Item number 2, COA 22-018, 0 Central Avenue in the Ansdale-Snowden Historic District, and that is with a friendly amendment to condition number 6, which the friendly amendment is, the condition reads, windows on all sides of the structure shall match and be consistent in terms of style and grid pattern, and the applicant shall have the option to install windows with 3/1 or 1/1 grid pattern. So the friendly amendment is to strike the end of the sentence from and so strike and the applicant shall have the option to install windows with 3/1 or 1/1 grid pattern. And so the idea is to give them options beyond those two, but to be consistent. So the condition would read, windows on all sides of the structure shall match and be consistent in terms of style and grid pattern. Item number 4, COA 22-040, 1855 Oliver Avenue, Cooper Young Historic District. Item number 5, COA 22-041, 771 Tanglewood Street in the Lees Woods Historic District. Item number 6, COA 22-043, 603 North McLean Boulevard in the Valentine Evergreen Historic District. Item number 7, COA 22-046, 1571 Southern Avenue in the Glenview Historic District. And item number 8, COA 22-048, 265 Pine Street in the Central Gardens Historic District.
Okay, is that all?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as established by the secretary? I need a motion.
Motion to approve consent.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I would like to remind the commissioners that by voting on the consent agenda, he or she affirms that he or she has read the staff report and is in full agreement with the conditions. Mr. Secretary, may I get a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Chair Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. If you are here for any of the cases just listed on the consent agenda, you have been approved. You do not need to remain at the meeting, but are welcome to stay for the remainder of the cases if you want to. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this point, I would like to state that the minor COA applications as listed on the agenda have been reviewed and approved by the Commission. The Commission will now continue with the regular hearing of the major COA applications as listed on the agenda. Mr. Secretary, please call the first case of the regular agenda.
Item number 1, COA 22-026, 1720 South Parkway East in the Glenview Historic District.
Okay, is the applicant present?
It appears they are not. If we want to, we can roll this and just see if they show up, and if not, then we will have to hold it for 1 month.
Okay.
So if you want to move to the next case.
Okay.
Item
Okay.
number 3, COA 22-036, 1156 Sledge Avenue in the Ansdale Snowden Historic District.
Okay, is the applicant present? Okay, could you come forward, please, to the microphone? And state your name and address for the record.
My name is Devin Buford, D-E-V-I-N, Buford, B-U-F-O-R-D, and the address is 1156 Sledge Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Have you had the chance to read the staff report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you agree with the staff report and its conditions?
I disagree.
Okay, thank you. Then can we proceed to the staff report, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Aisha Tazar with the Division of Planning and Development. Item before you is a COA request for site improvements to install a new driveway at 1156 Sledge Avenue in Ansdale Snowden Historic District. The applicant is proposing to install a new driveway with a new curb cut on the right side of the property to connect to the Sledge Avenue. On this Google Street View, you can see the proposed location of the driveway indicated by a yellow arrow. The property also have an rear alley access, and here you can see indicated again with a yellow arrow that the garage of this property have access to this alley. The applicant proposed this site plan with a driveway that changes its width from 16 feet to 11 feet and then back to 14 feet going towards the rear of the structure on the right side of the property. However, we received a land survey from the property owner, and it showed inadequate width for the proposed driveway. So although the location of the proposed new driveway is compatible with the environment and what we see on this block, the width of the curb cut is wider than what we traditionally see, and property survey shows only 9 feet and 6 inches between the existing HVAC unit that belongs to the neighbor to the side, which encroaches into Mr. Buford's property, that does not have enough width for an 11-foot driveway. In conclusion, we recommend rejection, and if approved, we recommend the commission to consider 3 conditions as listed in the staff report. Driveway to be maximum 9 feet in width and to extend minimum of 20 feet beyond the front wall of the home. New curb cut along Sledge Avenue to be maximum 12 feet in width to match the existing curb cuts on this block, and any change or deviation from this approved certificate of appropriateness to be submitted to the commission for further review and approval. And this concludes my staff presentation.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody in opposition here? Just checking. Okay. Sir, you have 5 minutes to present your case.
Sure. I guess I'll first say that for condition number 3 that was up there, as far as, alerting the commission and asking for approval for anything other than what is approved is perfectly fine. My issue with, I guess the rejection is okay in total, as the survey showed me that I have only 10 feet and 7 inches to the end of my property line. So the 11 feet obviously is not appropriate, and I'm in agreement with that. I will say, as she mentioned, there is an encroachment by my neighbor of at least about 1.1 feet. It should be shown in the package. That seems to be more of an issue between the neighbor and myself. Obviously, that's a civil issue. That I also believe the piping that goes to the HVAC unit is more flexible in nature and should be able to easily be pushed to the side. Moreover, the encroachment is not necessarily the unit itself, but the concrete pad that it's sitting on, as noted by the surveyor when I was out there when they did the work. So therefore, with all that in consideration, I should be able to use as much of that footage as I can for the driveway that's not going to bother my neighbor and give me greater access to my property for parking.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? Did y'all have any, did you want to? Any questions? No? Is there anybody in opposition or support here? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
I'm not as concerned about the recommendation of shortening the curb cut, but I would like a clarification: the curb cut versus the ultimate size of the driveway in front of the house, to where if the curb cut, are we saying that I can't do 16 feet for the parking pad itself once it gets past the 12-foot curb cut? Or are we saying that the whole piece needs to be only 12 feet to match the curb cut?
If I can make
Yes, ma'am.
clarifications. So residential properties are allowed to maximum 16 feet curb cuts at the right-of-way, right here, that at the sidewalk that connects to the driveway to the street. However, on this block, all of the driveways that historically were there are about 12 to 10 feet in width. That's why we recommended to for a narrower driveway here. So 12 feet would be more compatible. Going towards the back of the structure, back of the property, there will be no room for a 12 feet driveway towards the end of it. So we just recommend it start with 12 feet and then maybe go narrower down to 9 feet to fit this area between the existing structure and the property line. But how you design the driveway, if it's going to have an angular, like a sharp angle like this, or is it just going to fan out? It's basically up to you.
But it's only the curb cut that is recommended?
It's only the curb cut.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you. So the only issue that I'm raising is the actual driveway itself, being able to maximize over to the fence, which has already been approved as a part of the minor COA.
Okay.
Is that in the rear, is what you're referring to, over to the fence?
That is on the side. So,
On the side, but
right,
behind the residence?
Right, so where it says 11 feet on the drawing, that was before I got my official survey, which
Sure.
came back at 10 feet 7 inches.
Right.
So I'm only asking to just take that amount.
Okay. All right.
You understand?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Any more questions for the applicant? Any clarifications? Okay. I'll now close the public hearing portion of this case, and we will further discuss it. May I get a motion from a commissioner?
Motion to move into discussion.
Is that okay?
Well, it'd be a motion to approve, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So
It needs to
motion,
be in approval.
motion to approve COA 2022-036.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I have a little bit of discussion. I see your point as the planner. Is there a really good argument not to allow him to push this drive where he wants it? I mean, in its width? Does that make sense? Do y'all have any really good argument not to
You have a problem?
agree with this applicant?
So,
He's saying to let him have what he wants. Is that what you're? Mhm. He's saying to let him have what he wants.
are you,
Including the opening?
The width?
Curb cut?
Yes,
referring to the curb cut, or are you referring to the length of the driveway, the width of the driveway?
say that again.
Are you referring to the curb cut, or are you referring to the width
Both.
of the driveway?
He's referring to approve the whole thing.
Right, both. I'd like to know your opinion, Tasha.
So for me, the curb cut, I think, is important because if it's 12 feet in width traditionally, it's harmonious, it's continuous with what's existing on the street block, and it goes towards the streetscape. So you would want it to be consistent. Understand, I think we have to take into account that when these neighborhoods were built, they were not built car-centric or car-oriented. They were built more so because pedestrian-friendly. And cars came later on after the fact. Keeping that in mind, the property survey was done, and as you stated, the HVAC is crossing onto his property line. So I think staff looked at this and tried to compromise or consider giving the applicant what they were asking for, which they were trying to put a driveway in a place, a location that traditionally didn't have a driveway. He has alley access. If this was rejected, he would still have alleyway access. If it's approved, he would have a driveway, but it just would not be the original dimensions or measurements that he's requesting. So I sort of see this as a compromise or trying to, if it's rejected or if it's approved, this is how you could fit it in where it would still work for the applicant, but traditionally fit in with what you see in the neighborhood and it wouldn't stand out so much.
Okay, the width of the driveway that staff is recommending is how big? 9?
9 feet, yes.
And he wants 12, how many?
Well, the original plan was for 11, but currently they don't even have 11 feet between their property line and the existing
Okay.
structure. It's only about 10 feet, 7 inches, and the HVAC unit of their neighbor encroaches into that. So that gives them about 9 feet, 6 inches between the HVAC unit and their property, their structure.
And do we know the distance between the two homes?
I don't have it on the staff report, but I measured it to be about 13 to 14 feet between two structures.
Wait 1 minute. I'm sorry. I was going to tell him to wait 1 second, we'll come back to you. We're kind of discussing, this is kind of open discussion between us right now.
Go back, the picture of the house.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
Go back. With the yellow
street view.
arrow.
The street view.
Yeah, the street view, I'm sorry.
The driveway is right here on the right property line.
She wants the front, you want the front?
Yeah, the street
She wants
view.
the actually front view.
Yeah. I was trying to see how far back it's gonna go, because that does look like that's a tight space.
Uh-huh.
So how far were you planning to go back with your driveway? You see what I'm saying? How are you gonna have
All the way.
access to, I'm assuming, to your front porch?
Oh, was that a question for me?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to remind, we did close the public hearing, but you
Yeah,
guys,
if we need to
but
reopen
you
it,
guys can
this is
reopen
between
it, and
us.
it's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You can just ask if everyone wants to reopen it, and you can reopen it and ask the questions.
Okay. We'll reopen it and ask the question.
Did you get my question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, that driveway will extend to the back of the house so that if someone so chooses to be able, myself or anybody past, ownership of myself, will be able to pull back there and park, get better access to the back of the house, what have you. But then also to be able to get parking off of the street. So when you come home, and there is no pavement in the back alley. There's nothing back there right now. So to come home now is to only park on the street. There's a multi-family unit somewhere around the corner that's taking up all the parking on the street. So to be able to bring your car home in the evening and park in your driveway like everybody else does in the neighborhood. So if you had a large 3,500 truck and you did not want to drive it past there, maybe not. But if you drove a Honda Civic, that would be plenty of space to get past.
I also would like to add that all the residential driveways are required by the UDC to extend at least 20 feet beyond the front facade of the home. So if approved, Mr. Buford has to have driveway that extends minimum of 20 feet beyond the front facade of the house.
Okay.
And adding to that, the main thing around this whole conversation is I would not want to be limited as a property owner because of this apparent encroachment of this HVAC unit and the pad that it sits onto my property, which can obviously be handled between my neighbor and myself. It should be easy to fix. I shouldn't have my driveway shortened to 9 feet when I have another 1.5 feet to go.
But our issue here is the curb cut, isn't it, primarily?
It's the curb
It's
cut
the-
and the
it's
driveway.
the
And
whole
the
thing,
driveway?
yeah.
Okay,
I'm okay with the curb cut.
okay. Okay, well, go back to our discussion.
I'm fine.
Yeah, could you hear him? But we know, he wants it on record. Okay,
I'm personally good with the drive. I think it adds a lot of utility to the house. I was just looking, there's driveways on the other houses on the same side,
you're not on.
and I don't mind keeping the curb cut the way the planner suggested. That's just me personally.
More discussion, did you hear something?
I think he was fine with shortening the curb cut to 12 feet. It was just the access to the backyard, the width of that. So I'm okay with 10 feet.
It should be fine. I think
Yeah.
with 10 feet, 7 inches, I'll need 6 inches or so for the fence.
Right.
And that'll leave me about 10 feet, which I'm fine with.
It's just something you have to work out with the adjacent property owner.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Any other discussion? Okay. All right. So, did you want to restate a motion?
Yes, we would need another motion. I guess, are you, if the motion is to approve per staff's condition, is that what you're stating?
It's a motion to approve COA 2022-036 with reduced curb cut to 12 feet and driveway extension of 10 feet in width to rear of property.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. May I have a roll call?
Yes. Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Chair Tucker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you.
Can you call the next on the agenda?
Yes, you do. You always have really good detail. You always notice things I don't notice.
1231 Forest Avenue, Speedway Terrace.
I rely on you to touch it.
Okay, is the applicant present? Nobody here?
Yes.
Is the applicant? Is the applicant for this, for present? Okay, could you state your name and address, please?
Robert Thompson, 5281 Rich Road.
Okay, could you raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Have you read the staff report?
I have.
Are you in agreement with its conditions?
Assuming that they have not changed since I got the email, I am, and I was thinking it would be a part of the consent agenda. That's why I was a little confused at the beginning, but I'm in agreement with the conditions that were included.
Okay, it's actually because we do have someone else that wants to speak, so we have to do it. Okay. So we have, do the commissioners then want to hear the staff presentation?
Yes, I would like to.
Okay. You don't have anything to say, but,
I don't.
Okay.
I'm happy to respond if needed to the objection, but I don't have anything to add.
okay. Could we see the staff report?
Good afternoon, I'm Margot Payne with the Division of Planning and Development. The applicant for this case is proposing to build a new single-family home in the Speedway Terrace Historic District. Subject property is a vacant lot located on the south side of Forest Avenue in the block between North Bellevue Boulevard and North Montgomery Street. The original one-story minimal traditional style ranch home built around 1975 that did not contribute to the Speedway Terrace National Register District was demolished in 2020. It sat among a row of one-story and one-and-a-half-story craftsman-style bungalows with full-width front porches that do contribute to the district. This is the proposed site plan. The front of the home will align with neighboring homes as required by the UDC and the guidelines. The original 10-foot wide driveway will remain and extend 40 feet past the front of the home. This is the front elevation. The proposed design does not include a full-width front porch like the houses on the surrounding block, but it's been designed with an inset porch of traditional 8-foot depth in order to maximize the backyard on the smaller size lot. Here are the proposed side elevations. Staff has conditioned additional window openings toward the front of the home on the left elevation. Also note that the small casement windows on the right elevation are 2 feet by 2 feet. This is the rear elevation. The proposed design mostly adheres to the Speedway Terrace Historic District guidelines. Staff finds the building mass, scale, and form are appropriate, and with the recommended conditions to the foundation height, the additional window openings, and the window details, the plans will fully adhere. Staff recommends approval with the following 6 conditions. The front yard setback shall be in line with other structures on Forest Avenue. The foundation wall shall be minimum 24 inches above grade. A minimum of 2 window openings shall be added to the left elevation toward the front facade. Windows shall be wood or high-quality vinyl or composite material with substantial dimensions. Exterior siding shall have a maximum 6-inch reveal, and any change from the approved COA shall be submitted to the commission for review and approval. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions, commissioners, for staff?
I have a question. If you could go back to the site plan drawing, you mentioned about the porch, that one more, that right there. You mentioned that the porch was a step up or it was not similar to the porches traditionally seen, correct, in terms?
Yeah, this block has all full width porches, so this is an inset porch. Well, there are some partial width, but they're all projecting, so this is a little bit different. It is a traditional building design, but it's different for this block.
So I want to make sure I'm looking at the right one. So where it says steps per grade, is that what you're talking about as a small porch, or is it? The half porch or the instep up for the porch where it's on the screen where it says steps per grade, is that what you're referring to, not the full width porch, or is it?
Are you asking about the steps?
Since it's not a full width porch,
Yes,
it says stucco parging, steps per grade.
yes.
And I'm asking, is that where it's the partial porch or not the full width porch? Or are you referring to where the columns are is half the porch? Just for clarification.
Yes, the area behind the columns is just,
Okay.
is the partial width. It's just inset. It doesn't project from the front facade.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you. Let's see, Mr. Secretary, we have one speaker. Mr. Klein. Is Mr. Klein here? Okay. Would you state your name and address?
Yeah, Jacob Klein, 1228 Forest Avenue,
Okay.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, raise your right hand. Raise your right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You have 3 minutes.
All right, so so the street that I live on, it's beautiful. The houses are about 100 years old. They all have big porches. That house that was actually there that you saw the picture of, the porch was in the dark and it had ironwork that was flowers and actually for it being just a simple little house, it was actually really cool looking. There's beautiful trees. When I first bought my house 3 years ago, about a quarter of the houses were vacant. And now people like me, my house is vacant for a long time. We've all moved in and we've fixed them up. And the neighborhood's getting even nicer. There's only 2 vacant houses. Basically it's a beautiful neighborhood that's historic. These houses took a long time to build. They're all brick, stucco. There's, I believe, one that has bad, new, cheap siding on it. So this house that's going in, this just looks like something that would be in Cordova. It's just a basic thrown up home. I saw it takes about 3 to 6 months to build one of these. So it looks nothing like the houses on my street. Everybody, and also just to add to it, everybody who lives on my street, the lady next door to me bought her house there 50 years ago. They've lived there for 20 to 50 years. It's like an elderly neighborhood. Basically, I see it as threatening the integrity of the neighborhood, and it's right in front of my porch, so I have to look at it. And I don't like looking at a field in front of my house, but a newer house like that. The other thing, it's everybody owns their houses and they've been there for a long time. This is just an investor coming in. The property went up for $10,000 and it's a thrown up house. I see it as not having to play by the same rules that I had to play by when I built my garage. When I built my garage, I had to build it behind the house because it's not a brick garage that fits the aesthetic of the neighborhood.
Okay, you have 1 more minute.
Okay, 1 minute. That's what I would, if there was to be one there, I would say, like, if it was just a brick house or a stucco that, like, looked like the other houses, and if it at least had a porch that was, even the smaller porches are deeper, and, like, they have, like, 2 iron doors. I mean, they're, if just there was a way to make it similar, to meet halfway. I mean, I know something's going to go up, but just so it's not just a suburban-looking, mass-produced house that falls apart quickly. I plan on staying there, so I know I'm not moving away. I'm not looking to flip my house. So, I mean, I know that these houses have problems sooner, and they fall apart sooner.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You could stay. Commissioners, do you have some questions for the speaker?
I guess I would ask the speaker, what would you like to see differently on the design that's presented?
Well, look at the shingles that are up above. I mean, that's just, it looks like a kind of cliche, like a thrown up house that they already basically have a few simple plans that they go off of. I mean, those shingles, it does not look like a 20s house at all. It's like not even with the same theme of like a craftsman style house. The porch, and also the house in general, I mean, it's like shorter. You have to walk up steps to go up my porch, along with the other. If you look at the picture that was back behind it, I don't know if somebody can pop back. Yeah, okay, so you see those houses that are on the sides, like they all have big step-up porches. So that's one part. I mean, the kind of that old bungalow style, how there's the window up above for either the attic or if there's a second story. It's like that would be good. Really, the thing I really see is the material that it's made out of and just the style, because it's just a 1990s modern land developer kind of style of a home. When you see a whole neighborhood go up that all the houses look the same, that's one of those houses. It looks like it would just be in a suburb where they all look the same. So that's more just the aesthetic looking, however it could get closer, whether it's stucco, brick. Yeah, I mean, how the windows are framed. Just any way to get closer to that. Really,
Okay, so the house that it's replaced, the small brick house is a preference to you as opposed to this specific house?
Can you repeat that?
The little house that is not there anymore, the one that the original house that was torn down.
Yeah.
Is that preferred by you as opposed to what? Because you were saying, I think that you liked that style.
It at least fit enough. Like the houses that are a few down. I wish there was a way to see more than just the 2 houses. Those houses on the sides. That one's close enough to the ones that are just a few houses down. But I mean, like I said, that one that had like ironwork, and you can't see it because of the shadows.
But that would have been, what, a 60s infill, like an infill in the 60s or 70s?
Yes, the National Register nomination said 1975.
Okay, so that was a non-contributing or?
Yeah, non-contributing.
To the neighborhood, period?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if the ironwork, there's no way that's from the 70s that was on that house. So they had taken something from what was there before, at least.
Okay, do the commissioners have any more questions of the speaker? Did you? Okay, thank you so much for your time. Okay, the applicant has 3 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. I would start just by acknowledging the opposition and just say thanks for your comments. And I certainly appreciate the significance and the importance of property that gets built across the street from where you live. And I appreciate you taking time away from whatever else you have to be here today to do that. In terms of the design, we specifically designed the exterior of the house to be conforming with the historical guidelines for the neighborhood. There was one oversight where we drew the foundation at 18 inches, and one of the conditions in the staff report was to move that to 24, which we're certainly in agreement with. That was just an oversight. Other neighborhoods are 18 inches, so apologies for that. So that will create a little bit of additional elevation to the porch and make the front porch more of a step up. In terms of the quality of the building materials, I stand by the work that we build. I think this will be a house that will stand for a long time. It's a lap siding. There's actually a condition, I think, about the amount of 6-inch reveal. So that, again, will be consistent with the neighborhood. I am not I would not call myself a preservationist, but I am someone who cares a lot about the integrity of historic, of maintaining those standards. And I think that the look of above the roof line and the gables is with like a cedar shake look is very appropriate to the neighborhood and the era. So I think what we've designed, particularly with the conditions that have been added by the staff report, would ensure that this fits with the neighborhood and is appropriate. So I would ask for approval with those conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did y'all have any further questions for the applicant? Okay. You.
Could staff go back to the image that's showing the right elevation? Thank you. The two small windows on the right elevation towards the front of the house.
Sorry.
The two small windows right there where the arrow is pointing at the front of the house on the right elevation.
Is the question if that's the front?
No, I wasn't asking if there was the front. I was getting ready to make a statement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Traditionally, they do tend to flank when you see chimneys or fireplaces on houses traditionally. However, they're larger than that. And so my question to the applicant is, were you involved with or did you purchase or build a property which has similar houses, windows like that on Jackson Avenue?
We have a house on Jackson Avenue that's under construction currently.
Yeah.
At 1811 Jackson.
Okay, thank you. 1811 Jackson. So those windows are the same size as what you are proposing for this new build here in Speedway Terrace, correct?
I believe so, but I haven't gone and checked plan to plan to confirm that.
Okay, so I would like to share this for show. So this is the side. Those two small windows in proportion to the other side that's on the house. That's what it looks like. Same size.
Did you say this is what it actually, that's on Jackson that's being built now?
Those are the same size as what's proposed on this.
Right.
Now, when you look at houses traditionally,
They have bigger windows.
they have bigger windows. And it's very jarring, or it doesn't, it's very jarring when you look at it.
Right, so
whether
you're-
in person or.
The question
So the
to
question
him
to
is
the
why
applicant-
why do you have those little windows, basically,
At that size.
in your design as opposed to something that might be appropriate and aesthetically? Is it because of furniture? Is it because of, what is that the living room, dining room?
Yes, ma'am. The window design in general was intended to give more flexibility with the interior. And as discussed previously when this question was raised, to just give the elevation, break up the elevation a little bit. We're flexible on windows. We certainly agreed with the recommendation for the additional bedroom windows. That limits options with furniture layout inside, but we're flexible on that. I personally like the way that the smaller casement windows around the fireplace design, and there's There are other houses there are
But is
one-story
there a
houses in Midtown
fireplace?
that don't have fireplaces that have that design.
Is there a fireplace in this design
There's
then?
not, no. And
Because I mean, to me, it cheapens the look of the house to have the little, it's not like a clear story or anything, but like little bitty windows on there. That's just my opinion. Uh-huh. Okay, we can discuss that too. Were there any other questions? Any other questions of the applicant?
So I just, so you're saying from your perspective or in your mind, you think this is similar to what's traditionally seen? Those size windows you think are similar to what's traditionally seen in historic neighborhoods? The size of those windows on the site plan?
Could you repeat the part at the very end?
Are you saying, in your opinion, that you think the size of those windows that are presented on this site plan and on the other property that you built on Jackson Avenue, that they are similar or what you normally find traditionally on historic houses or older homes? The size and measurements. Are you saying you think that's similar?
No, I would not be willing to make a comment one way or another to say, because I haven't been out and measured them and didn't know that this would be a part of the discussion today. But as I mentioned earlier, if it be the will of the commission to have us consider or use a different size window in that living room, then we would be open to that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, but I did make the statements or comment about this during the design review meeting that we held earlier this month. So, and I did ask for updated measurements or sizes for the site plan. So, my concerns were expressed, and we did discuss this during the design review meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Did you have any other? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll now close the public hearing portion of this case, and the commissioners will now further discuss amongst ourselves. So need a motion in the positive?
Motion to approve COA 2022-051.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now we're open for discussion. Put it on.
I'm sorry. The recommendations, the staff recommendations for approval, the conditions, can you go back to those? Yeah, the windows. But that's not the size of them,
That's
right?
the left elevation, not the right.
Right.
I mean, I agree. I think it personally kind of cheapens the design to have the two little windows up there. Can you go back to that picture, the elevations?
So even one with, that's on the left elevation, I don't know what size that is, but that's an option. Or if you were going smaller, you would just increase it to what you traditionally find, which is a larger size.
Could you just
I don't know
increase
what
it to the size of the ones on the other side of the large window?
Are they just two?
They can do that too, but it's just,
Say that.
there are windows that, like flank chimneys and fireplaces, and I understand if they want to go for smaller sizes, but they should be proportional to what you traditionally see or be proportionate to the rhythm, massing, and size measurements of the other windows. And it's just...
Or as Joyce was saying too, she pointed out that, and I think we discussed this a little bit, is that normally there would be a fireplace there or something that would complement having the little bank of windows on either side. And I think that was the...
Yeah. Also, do the guidelines speak to this?
They do speak to the rhythm and proportion. Let me see if I can. have the exact wording here.
Yeah.
It's in the staff report. I believe Natasha and Cindy, you have copies. I'll pull one up here too.
I think it mentions rhythm to void. Windows, doors, openings, and porches, this is on page 6, should also be visually compatible with surrounding structures.
She's on.
Oh,
It's hard to hear.
sorry about that. Windows, doors, openings, and porches should be visually compatible with surrounding structures. That's on page 6, under principal compatibility with surrounding structures. And I would also understand sometimes they're doing the smaller windows now because where it may not have a fireplace or chimney nowadays, they may do like TVs or something in between and they want
And I think
smaller windows.
if you look at the neighbor, it is kind of a rhythm in the neighborhood. I guess I was looking for, in some of the guidelines, it's more specific as to what the window sizes need to be. So, if he's willing to change the size, but make it more appropriate, or whatever he considers or the neighborhood considers more appropriate. Because at this point, in my opinion, it just becomes a personal preference. And that's why I was asking about what do the guidelines say, because I think that's what you really have to stick to, because, I may like little windows, you may like big windows, we may like one window, but it's got a, food for thought. Yeah.
Those are?
Yeah, I'm just increasing.
Recommendations?
There's one over the sink, 2x4 in the kitchen. That makes it simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then nobody's going to argue about
That's right.
that. Actually, you could just say local staff.
You're not on. Excuse me.
Sorry.
We could just say the applicant can work with staff, making those 2 windows larger. That works well for his own floor plan and what his furniture plan of what he's going to do in that room.
Yeah, I agree.
Does that work for y'all? We can kind of keep it open. Okay.
Is there any other discussion?
The only thing I would just say is that I think it does fall under the rhythm of solids to voids. Being so many
Rhythm of
design,
solids to voids.
that we see in so many design guidelines, and that's all.
Okay.
And it is, so it was not about having small windows, it was just, again, proportionately,
Okay.
when you see the
rhythm.
rhythm
how it
or
goes,
the
yeah.
whole wall, it's just not something that would look good with the commission passing on new construction.
Okay, so we done on, okay, do we want to restate a motion?
Yes, now, if I could, Ms. Penzis and I were just speaking of a condition that I think would be appropriate. So
Okay.
the 2 square windows on the right elevation will be increased in size and submitted to DPD for review and approval. If that
Along with the other conditions.
satisfies.
Yeah. And you said that it would work with, the staff for approval of size.
Yeah, work
Or But at
administratively.
least that size.
Yes.
Similar to those traditionally seen in
Yes,
historic
we can add
neighborhoods.
that, to be sized as traditionally seen and submitted to DPD for review and approval. Okay.
That's fine.
Yep,
Okay, so do we need to restate what you said, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay.
If there's no objection.
Okay, can we call for a vote then?
Yes.
Oh, wait,
Is that's in addition to?
put your thing on.
I'm sorry, that's in addition to the
Other
all the conditions that are already stated, right? Okay.
And he's accepted those, so,
Yes.
yeah, he's already accepted that. Okay, call for a vote.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Mr. Gill?
Yes.
Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Chair Tucker?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Okay, so this one that wasn't here earlier,
Correct, we have item number 1. I'm just going to make sure we don't have anyone in the audience for that item. So that one will be held for 1 month.
okay.
And did we have another? But we do,
Is that it? Or do I have another one? Huh?
we can hold 1 minute. We're going to see if we have anyone in the audience for that case.
8.
She's here to speak in opposition.
I mean, that's not my favorite design that they're putting in. See what we have.
All right, well, Madam Chair, I believe that is all the cases we have for today. And
Okay.
as we said, item number 1 will be rolled to the next agenda.
Okay, that was it. So do we have any announcements?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So the next meeting will be, what is it? Thursday,
The
June
23rd, June 23rd.
June 23rd. Motion to adjourn? Okay.